Hey everybody, I'm Morgan, and this is the American Plumber Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about clogs. And if you're a plumber or a drain cleaner, you know shit can get nasty. First off, I wanted to tell you about a couple stories of clogs that I've dealt with in the past. I've been wrangling turds for over 12 years now. That's a long time. That's a lot of turds to wrangle. And when you wrangle that many, you're bound to run into some interesting situations. So probably the first one is back in the old apprenticeship days. My journeyman, his name was Robert. I still work with him. He's actually my uncle. So family of plumbers. I'm third generation. I think I was maybe 17, 18 at the time. I must have been 18 at the time. And we got called to this clog at an old mobile home out in the country on a septic system. And I can remember bits and pieces of the story, but I can't remember all of it because it has been a long time. But I do remember we had to pull out the big jetter, and there was a clean out in her backyard. An old lady. And it's actually an old couple of ladies. And so we're out there in the backyard with the big jetter. And I see Uncle Robert, and he's hydrojetting this clean out, and we're fighting it. And he's getting serious, you know. He's getting all worked up, his sweat coming down his brows, and he's not a small guy. He's a decent sized guy, you know. It's a workout for him, you know. He's battling the turds, like he's wrangling them. And so I remember he's pulling the jetter back to try to pull out sludge, and he's kind of frustrated with me because I'm a kid at the time, and I didn't really have the best work ethic. So he's telling me to shut off the jetter, shut it off, because I think he pulled the jetter hose back too far and it got hung up at a bend. And when he pulled it around that bend, this turd comes flying out. It had to be that long, that big around, and you know, it came right out of the toilet a few hours before a customer that we're talking to. I mean, it was fresh, dude. Still had that, still firm, and it comes flying out from the pressure of that jetter, and it just smacked him right in the side of the mouth as he's yelling at me. And as he's telling me to shut off the jetter, man, I fell over laughing so hard, and I ended up getting the jetter set off, and he was not happy with me the rest of that day. But that's, you know, what can I say? Drain cleaning. And that's why a lot of these new construction plumbers, they look at us and they're like, I would never do what you do. But I'm not ashamed of it. To this day, I still love cleaning a drain. It's a good pay, profitable. Unless you're Roto-Rooter, those guys work for peanuts. They can have my drains, man. And a lot of times it leads to you fixing stuff. You know, you clear those things out, you run your camera down, and all of a sudden you find you've got a break. I had that happen twice this week, and you get it fixed, and customer's happy because they don't have poop coming up in their tub anymore, and you're happy because you got a job out of it. So another time, well, you know, so that's one thing I'd recommend if you're a plumber or a drain cleaner out there. Make sure you get a camera. They got some good options I could show you guys that are not super expensive. Because the Milwaukees, man, they bend you over and tell you to open wide because it's a $6,000 or $8,000 camera setup now. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of USDs. So for something you're gonna stick down a line full of shit, I mean, that's crazy. But I did find some that you can get online that are much more reasonable. So, you know, something to consider anyways, if you guys want a podcast on that. But we could tell you another story. You ever seen a kinetic water ram? This is another drain cleaning tool that we use I use it less now than I used to, but I used to be a lazy kid, and I would try to get away with using the old kinetic water ram. And what that is basically a plunger that compresses air and then shocks it down the line. And what you're hoping to do is create a kinetic energy force that will force itself right onto the stoppage and blow it out. And it works really good for, I'd say, like shower clogs, lavatory clogs, and if you do it right, you can do a tub clog too. But it doesn't work so good for kitchen with grease. It doesn't work for main lines, and sometimes it works for toilets too. But I was thought I'd be a hero one day, and I go out to this clean out, and in hindsight, I don't know what my dumb ass was thinking, but I go out there and there's a clean out full of shit, and it's bad. It's bad. It's like 4 feet away from a septic tank. We got a clean out just with brown shit coming out of the top of it. And I thought, oh, let me put the 4-inch adapter. I pump it up to 10 pounds, 5 to 10 pounds, and put it up to this clean out. Boom! Nothing happened, really. It was minimal. So then I'm like, okay, let's give it to beans. And I think I bumped it up to 30 pounds. And I put that plunger right on that clean out again, and I go, boom! And the customer was looking at me too. And all I remember was a volcano eruption of shit misted the sky. It was all over my face. It stunk. I was drenched. And I just remember this one thing specifically. I looked down and there was a bean rolling down my shirt. And the customer, I look over and he's just hysterical. He's just like, this kid's a fucking idiot. And he's chuckling to himself. And ultimately, now that I'm covered in crap, what did I have to do? I had to go get the actual cable machine out of the truck and snake it the way I should have to begin with and get it cleared. And that's an important thing. If you're a business owner like me and you've got technicians out there cleaning drains, you got to remember these guys, a lot of times, they're not in the mindset to want to be cleaning drains. They want to be doing something else. They don't like working with poo. And I'm finding that the more I got guys working, they don't really love it. So, keep that in mind. You want to teach your guys how to clean a drain properly and professionally. And over the years, I've learned you're better off to take your time and make sure everything's done well. So, like some good procedures to go through is if you're going to auger a toilet, I call it a synthetic turd. You wad that paper up and you put it down the toilet and flush it after you cleared it. And you'd be surprised how many times it won't flush. And that can be caused by one of two things, usually. One, it's just a weak toilet that's just not really flushing very well anymore because it's so full of mineralization and debris. Or two, it actually could be that there's a credit card, or even worse, in the parks I've seen hypodermic needles, and they get stuck in there, so the water will flush through, and the guy will say, hey, I got it cleared, but he didn't do the synthetic turd flush. You want to wad that paper up and flush it down there, and you're going to find out if it's actually clear. Now, on mainline stoppages, when I say mainline, I mean the main sewer line out to the street or the septic is clogged. Always camera the line. So you can cable it out, poke a hole in it, and clear it. And that's fine. You want to run a bunch of water, make sure it's working. And you can do the synthetic paper flush with that too. But I always try to camera the line because they can do one of two things. A, you want to know you did a good job. So you run your camera down there, and if it's a fully open all the way, it's like, hey, it must have been a soft clog and you're good to go. Maybe don't flush any feminine products down, or, no cigarette butts. You might give them a little rundown on, use some septic safe paper. But the line's good. Or you're going to run your camera down and you're going to be like, holy crap, this thing how has it even worked this long? I've seen sewer lines that I looked at and I was like, if I was pooping in this thing, it had been clogged a long time ago. And you can look at it and you can go, and if you have a locator like we do on our vans, you can stick that camera down and go right here. There's the root problem. There's a shift. Those are common ones. Broken fitting, um, bad material. You can locate that, and then you can give that customer a quote on how to fix it right. That having a camera is imperative if you want to do drain cleaning properly, and a locator too, for that matter. But do you warranty a drain clog? I don't think it's a good idea. Um, we tried. A lot of times I'll try to warranty them for 30 days. It's kind of an unwritten rule. I don't have to, but we try to clear that in, and we'll make a note if for some reason it obviously cannot be warranted. But the unwritten rule in our shop is like, if it clogs within 30 days and it's within, they didn't just totally abuse it, we're very likely going to go back and take care of it for them. But that's about it, because you don't know what Mrs. Johnson is flushing down there. You could have that thing cleared, and by tonight, she's, cramming a bag of rice down the garbage disposal, and it's clogged up the next day, and she's blaming you. And that's a tough one. You can get a lot of unhappy customers from that, because they always want it warranted, and you kind of have to have that documentation to say, hey, we had it clear at the time of the service, and we don't know why it clogged afterwards, but it did clog. Kitchen drains are a pain in the butt, truth be told. There's a lot of grease in kitchen lines, and so you could clear it, poke a hole in it, run your water through there, and it's draining fine when you leave. And a week later, a chunk of that grease that you stirred up will fall in and create a clog. And those ones are tough. So we really recommend jetting out kitchen lines, but a lot of times customers just don't want to do that. They don't want to spend the extra money. Can't really blame them. And it is a tricky situation. So make sure your technicians are taking good notes. And if they don't warranty the line, make sure they have that in that description for the customer to read on the signed invoice that they sign beforehand. We always get a signature prior to doing work, and then try to get one when we're done, collected payment. But you want them to be aware. You don't want any surprises. You don't want to have them say in the fine print, say it's not warranted. You want to say, hey, we can't warranty this drain because after we cabled it and cleared it, ran our camera down, it's extremely greasy. It should be jetted. Or, hey, you got a break in the line. Obviously, we can't warranty it, because how are you supposed to know how long it's going to last until that's fixed? It's like, you have us fix it, your next clog will be warranted for that 30-day period. So I don't know. Warranting clogs is it's kind of like the pull-out game, so it's not real effective. Ask my wife and the 3 kids we have. So that's about it with drain clogs. Let's see here. Do we have anything else? I can show you a clip right now of one that I just did the other day, which was really nasty. I got called to a mobile home park, and usually I don't have to go out in the field as much, but I still do a day or two a week. And I went out there, and luckily I got the nice little cartwheel jetter set up. And dude, there must have been 20 pounds of crap around the clean out, so it's been backed up a while. I had to jet it 3 times, and I'll show you a clip of it, but it was pretty amazing how much had come up. And thank the Lord I had the good jetter set up, because I thought I would be nice and try to wash the waste back into the clean out hole. And every time I did, it backed up. I must have had to clear that thing 3 times. So, losing my edge, man. I shouldn't have done that, but I did. So that's it with clogs, man. Let me know in the comments below what you think about drain cleaning clogs. I think it's a good business. I think a lot of people are doing it way too cheap around here. I think a lot of people undervalue themselves. Roto-Rooter, for example, not to throw them under the bus, but man, they got their guys working. They're paying them real low, and I wouldn't want to do drain cleaning either if I was making what they make. So they're paid really low, and they do these drains ultra cheap. They don't usually camera the line unless the customer asks, and that's their whole business model is they just run and pop drains. And obviously they've done really good with it as a company. I would say the employees kind of suffer, but that's where we can make a difference. If you run a plumbing shop, take some pride in your work, charge more for these clogs, pay your guys well, and we can build the trades up instead of tearing them down. And I feel like there's a lot of companies out there that are kind of going against each other. We don't need to do that in the trades. It's important that we do professional work, treat our customers well, charge a healthy amount. Like we need to charge a lot to do what we need to do. You got to be able to grow your business, have good equipment, quality technicians, which means you got to pay them more, and you got to incentivize them to want to do a good job. And you're not going to do that with a super low hourly rate. You're just not. So I think it's time for these small companies to realize that and really kind of push against some of these bigger outfits that are trying to drag the trades down. So my 2 cents. I could go into equipment. Usually on each, I'll tell you that, and then we'll probably kind of wrap this one up. I'm kind of new to this podcast thing, so I'm hoping I get better. Probably kind of boring. I'm gonna try to hone this in and see if I can make it a little more entertaining for you guys, but we're gonna see where it goes. So, each van needs to have a sewer locator. We got spray paint to mark our locates. I usually carry a shovel. Usually carry a grounding probe for trying to locate septic tanks. We carry a large cable machine, a small cable machine, and then I also carry just a cheap little 1/4 inch 20-foot for small drains that the other machines can't get through. So the two bigger machines are usually they're going to be like a Milwaukee backpack machine that you can bring up on a roof, and it runs like a 5/16 or 3/8 cable. We run a larger machine that could either be a general wire 5/8 by 100 foot, or I'm really getting into these Milwaukee sectional machines. We'll carry about 100 feet of sectional cable, 7/8, and quick release tips. And then I carry just a very basic jetter setup on each van, so it could just be basically a converted pressure washer with 100 foot of hose. And then we've got the next bigger one on my van that's basically the same thing with 200-foot cart on it, and then the biggest jetter, which is on a trailer with I think it can go like 300 feet, and it's huge. But we hardly ever use it because we just don't need it very often. But that's kind of, and then the kinetic water ram, like we talked about, a toilet auger, the sewer camera, and I think that's about all the drain cleaning equipment you need on a van. There's some other things that are nice to have, but like tools, but that's not the drain equipment. So, that's about it. Hope you guys like today's pod and the American Plumber podcast. We're going to keep doing it. And I'm going to try to get better at bringing you guys good content. And please smash that subscribe button, hit the like, let me know how I can improve, and I would love to do another one. Take care. God bless America.